everybody, and welcome to SchoolAdvisor's first official webinar. The main reason for us to do this today is just to give schools a little bit more value and also to get you guys to get to know us a little bit better. I'm going to be interviewing Peter Morgan. He's the CEO of SchoolAdvisor, and yeah, he has been in the school space for quite some time. He has been a supplier to schools as well, and that's why he can give us some insight as to a supplier side of schools.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Please note we are out of our office live, so you might find the odd person walking around. We're just going to apologize. The odd person might walk behind us, but we really hope with this session we can give you some value. And there goes the person again. Please note also, if you want, there is a chat section. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Our aim is really just to take 20 minutes and to give you some real tips that will help you when it comes to dealing with suppliers.
Peter, my first question is, how often do you think that schools don't negotiate and lose out on getting a better supplier, which can offer them better value if they only negotiate it on price?
Okay, so I think that's as a first question is the most important. I think so often schools don't know that they can negotiate, and I think it's one of those things. So often I think as people we get a little bit embarrassed when it comes to asking people for a better price or better value. And I think often what happens is the schools are not getting the best deals that they possibly could because of the fact that they're just not asking for more. So I think also if you think of most big corporates, one of the first things they do for people who are playing with budget is teach them how to negotiate. And I think there's no real training syllabus for school admin staff and teaching staff on actually how to negotiate. And I think the suppliers out there are aware of that they know often the schools don't negotiate. I do know there are some fantastic examples of schools that do negotiate, but I think often just don't even know that they really can negotiate a better deal. So I think sadly, in a lot of cases, schools could be getting way better deals if they were just willing to ask for a better price or negotiate.
Would you say, what would you say is your biggest reason why schools should negotiate?
I think number one reason, and this is important, for schools, is when it comes to negotiation. Normally, you can get one of two things. First thing is you can get a better price, and I think let's be real, schools have small budgets and tight budgets, and I think from the admin staff and teachers, and kind of management of schools, you don't just have a massive corporate budget to play with, so you're playing with a budget, and a small saving across every supplier can save you hundreds and hundreds and thousands of rands. I think the other reason why the as schools you should negotiate is, simply put, often you can get better value. It's something small.
Yes.
Maybe they're doing the fences, or they're giving you laptops or whatever. They can throw in security for free, or they can fix the fence that needs fixing, or they can give an extra chair, or they can repaint a wall. There's extra value to be had that they're willing to give, which saves you other budgets. So it's price, it's value. And then the third thing is, often when you start negotiating, you uncover new products or better offerings.
So now the schools got their three parts. What would your biggest tips be when it comes to negotiating?
Okay. So the first one, which is a bit interesting, is when it comes to three quotes, my encouragement to the schools would be is, when you get in those three quotes, get them not only out of habit, but also because you want to use those quotes to help you get the best deal. So I think we can see from our side, on SchoolAdvisor side, and I know, Annika, you sit looking at all the quotes coming through. Often, it's mandated that the school needs three quotes. And often as a school, you have that preferred supplier. So you have someone there that is got a better deal. Yeah, I think the three quotes, first thing, get it, look at value, and also where possible, try compare apples with apples. So get your three quotes, literally with the aim of, like, I want to use these to get the best deal. So that's number one tip. Number two tip, that once you've got that base, is be willing to negotiate. And I think we addressed that earlier. I think suppliers are expecting it. And sometimes there's that like embarrassment factor of can I ask, and have a couple of quick, easy tools. So often when it comes to negotiating, it's for you as the school to ask the right questions. So question, and this is the easiest one, simplest question ever is when someone sends a quote, doesn't matter when, just say, listen, can you do a better price? Don't even say I've got another price or anything. Just say, oh, I got your quote. Is there any chance you can give me a better price? And literally, I think in about 30% of the times I've seen people ask that, they've gotten a better price. Just asking. And then the second question, very much in line with that, is to say, if you can't give me a better price, is there any extra value you could give? Often what happens is you have suppliers who are sitting on this base of stuff and these offerings, and they go, okay, well, I give you this. I can also bundle this in, if it be stationery or textbooks, we can give you some extra readers, or we can look after this servicing. So I think you need to ask those two very simple questions. And then the biggest tip, and this is the one I think most people can feel a bit awkward about, is don't be nervous to leverage one supplier off another.
So you don't think that's a bit rude to play to suppliers off one another?
I think it all depends how you do it. I think you can do it in a nice and factual way, or you can do it in more of a rude way. So a nice way of doing it is like, hey, supplier A, I really love what you want to offer. Just so you know, I've received another quote and they are X thousand less.
Can you match it?
Can you match or give me more value? And I think one thing I will say on that, and I think most schools, and we've seen this on our side, as schools, we've seen schools are very good at ensuring that you get a valuable company, a reputable company. And I think that's why one of the reasons SchoolAdvisor exists is that you can check a company, what schools they're in and what their schools say about them. So I think that does allow you to check that they're good, but then you don't have to be scared to try leverage one off the other. And sometimes that leverage would also be like, and be upfront with them, like, hey, supplier A, I would love to use you, but the other quotes are less. Please, can you match it?
And often I think schools obviously have their preferred supplier, and another company might match this or be less than their preferred supplier's quote. How do you then negotiate with your preferred supplier?
Okay.
So obviously they know you, they have a relationship with you. How do you negotiate with them when their price is more than one of a new supplier?
Okay.
How do you do that?
All right. So preferred suppliers to me is always an interesting one. The reason why most of us have a preferred supplier is because we know them and trust them. So I think having a preferred supplier is good. I think with the preferred supplier, there are some cautions. So we have seen in the industry, what often happens is a supplier will try get in at a school at a great rate. And then slowly over time, they edge their price up when they know that they are entrenched. And often what they'll do is they'll know that they are offering you the best service and the best quality. So my encouragement for you is if you have your preferred suppliers, that's fantastic, but just keep them on their toes. So by keeping them on their toes, I mean literally ask them, hey, can you give me a better price? And also often with preferred suppliers, every now and again, just go and request another two quotes or another quote just so that you can check. And then as soon as you think they are getting too expensive, also don't be nervous to say like, listen, it feels like your price has gone up quite a bit. Is this fine? Is this not fine? You know what I mean? Can you give me a better price or better value?
So negotiating is a process of give and take. How does that apply in schools and suppliers?
Okay, so I think when it comes to understand the metrics of negotiation is two parties trying to come up with an agreement that would benefit both of them. So what you're saying is 100% right. It's one party giving either products or service, the other giving money, and then you try and negotiate that best price. So there's certain tools that you as a school can use with give and take. So for example, a lot of suppliers, what they want is long-term business. And generally, we found suppliers love dealing with schools because you are good payers, and you're reputable. At the end of the day, if you don't pay a supplier, the school's name will go through the mud, and you won't do that. So schools are great clients for suppliers to have. So they want you. So when it comes to give and take, some of the things you could do as give and take is say, like, listen, as a school, we're happy to buy this product, but we would like a service level agreement with it for 2 years. So, or supplier, your price is quite expensive, but we know you're good and it's quality. What extra value can you give us? Or school, okay, you could say, supplier, can you drop your price by 10%? And then we will commit to a 2-year agreement with you for that product or service. Or if it's more textbooks, or we'll then guarantee that you are our first supplier to go to whenever we get in quotes. So I think that give and take component of negotiating with each other allows you to offer some things. And bottom line is, at the moment, within the economy for most suppliers is always tight. They're always looking for new business. So if they can get a school, and they can get a school to come on board as a new client of theirs, they're willing to give a little bit to make sure you're happy. So definitely do a bit of give and take. And by that, it's like a longer contract, or it's committing other business opportunities. That's something also you can say to a supplier, like, come and give us a better price for this. If it works, then we can think of next year giving you all of our stationery, or maintenance of grounds, or tuck shop, or whatever the area is that you're involved in. Does that make sense?
Definitely. So mainly, you would also say that you can negotiate on getting extra value.
Definitely. I think value-wise, at the end of the day, is one area where you can really negotiate as a school. I think you can go in and ask for extra value. And if you think of, and this is coming from someone who's been selling at schools and seen other companies selling at schools, is normally when you go in as a school salesperson, you have the product that the school wants, but there's a lot of other value that you can offer them.
Yeah.
There's other packages. If it's an ed tech product, there's no additional cost for them to give you different programs within that. Or if you are getting the new fence or tables and chairs, it's not hard to get in that little bit extra. If they're going to be putting in laptops into your IT lab, well, then they can actually do the wiring. There's those little things that, if the supplier is going to be there, it's not going to cost them much more. So you can negotiate that extra value. And actually, just to mention on that, I think one of the key things I'd say also for schools is, we've seen on SchoolAdvisor side with the reviews, every now and again you get these companies that do knock and drop. So they will sell you a product, they drop it, and you never see them again. So what you want to try to do with that negotiation is make sure that if a company is going to give you a product, that maybe there's a service level agreement or a guarantee or something that gives you peace of mind.
All right. Well, I think that's it from my side. I don't know if any other schools have any questions that they would like to ask.
Yeah. I think my final thought for schools is, why SchoolAdvisor exists is, we can give you 3 quotes. We can give you can check if the companies are reputable, but we can't negotiate on your behalf with the supplier. I think that's something on your side. And I think that's why for us, training like this is critical and key. And it's weird. I think the answers I've given are small and slight, but I think if you are just aware that you can negotiate, and I also think, like, just maybe a parting thought is, negotiation takes time and it takes effort. So if you are going to negotiate, realize it is going to take a bit of time. And sometimes the best way also to negotiate is over the phone. When you are phoning a supplier, you can hear their voice, you can pick up their tone, you can say, listen, can you give me a better price? You can immediately hear if they are going yes or no. So my encouragement on that side is like, SchoolAdvisor, we can help you get the quotes, we can do all of that, but it takes you to negotiate, and the suppliers are there, they're waiting to be negotiated with. So we will throw it over to you. If you have any questions about negotiation as well, like Annika deals all day with suppliers, and also if SchoolAdvisor ever gives you a quote through one of our companies, don't be nervous to go even ping Annika or even me a message and say, oh, do you think these prices are fair? We're starting to build up a base of kind of understanding of the market. Sometimes we have an opinion, sometimes we haven't. But if we can give you that extra value, we'd only be too happy to do it.
Absolutely.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is us. I think we might have a question. I'm just going to get the question from Dan. Oh, questions coming in. Sorry. Oh, there we go. So, okay. Question is from Gail. Thank you for the question. Is it possible to have a generic service level agreement posted that can be adapted as the contract requires? Okay, I think that's going to really depend on the supplier and the product. I think when it comes to a generic service level agreement, I think you must remember one thing about suppliers is they are always going to try within their service level agreement to set their expectation bar as low as possible. But a service level agreement is an agreement and you can negotiate on it. So I think if you want the agreement to adapt, you're going to need to build in that when you sit down.
Yes.
And that becomes really hard because you don't know what's around the corner. So sometimes what works on that level, and that's a great question, is actually to spend time looking through, if they give us this product, what will happen? And to try and negotiate upfront for that, and then also to try and negotiate upfront from unseens. So I would say definitely negotiate, but you are going to obviously get some kickback from the suppliers. But don't be nervous. Oh, and sorry, one other sales tip. If it comes to negotiating stuff like this, and this is a very sneaky tip, wait till the end of the month. And this is going to sound terrible, but all companies normally have a month end for sales around the 26th to the 28th, and every salesperson knows they have a target that they want to get. So if you start negotiating service level agreements at that point, you generally can get a bit more value. All right, so there's some more questions you want to ask. Okay, I think any other questions from the side? Sorry, we're just reading them as they're coming in. So one of the comments was principals are not trained negotiators and also don't always understand the full value of the brand value of schools. And I think that's one thing, and I think that's part of from SchoolAdvisor's side, and I think it's a really good comment from Paul, is often principals, deputies, etc., don't have the training on negotiation. And I think this is important where for you, especially out there asking stuff, is like get equipped, listen to us, go online, read tips. It's one thing, the education department is not necessarily going to train you, but we've realized for our schools, it's not unusual for you to be dealing with 50 or 100 suppliers.
Absolutely.
Is that us?
I think that's us.
Okay. So from my time, thank you. Please give us feedback if you found this valuable. We'd like to do more. Our aim is to try keep them to 20 minutes. If you have questions or have ideas around what you'd like, anything to do with school suppliers, I think possibly what we could do is do one session on service level agreements where we get into more detail.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, everybody, for joining. It was great.
Great. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.